Welcome to the Horror Hangout, a podcast where two, and sometimes three, but today two, bearded film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time and talk about them. My name is Ben Errington, and I'm joined by a regular co-host, Mr.
Andy Conduit Turner. Hello, Ben. How are you?
Hello, Andy Conduit Turner. I'm very well, thank you. Welcome to, this is a bonus-ode.
It is a little bonus-ode klaxon.
Bonus-ode klaxon. I would like to know what the bonus-ode klaxon sounds like. I reckon it's just all three of our voices combined in some sort of banshee-like scream.
Yeah, in the Triforce of sound.
The Triforce of sound.
Doing the human equivalent of the air horn noise.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that.
Yeah. I mean, we have the technology. We could do it. Maybe not live. We'll have to really get one of our audio editing friends to really put it together.
Let's do it. I'll add it to the list of the ever-growing list of things we need to do. For
You've covered a major factor today, though, Ben. You mentioned it's a podcast where the film fans, we watch the best and worst horror movies of all time. It feels like the discourse around today's bonus movie, it is both the best and worst horror movie of all time. A real polarizing one.
Yeah, depends who you are and what your experiences are in life. You might come into this and think it's the best, might come into it and think it's the worst. Do you ever feel like I know it's often difficult to see things from other people's point of view, but have you ever watched a film, not saying it's this one, that you've found completely, you've not enjoyed any element of it, you'd say you've hated it, but somebody out there, it's their favourite film?
Oh yeah, it's gonna take me a minute to pull an example of films that I
will pull an example
from
this very franchise. Okay, so I really, really did not like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Part 2.
Okay.
With Dennis Hopper, and it's a bit of a comedic take. There's a load of mad shit happening. I really didn't enjoy it. Maybe it's just the mood I was in. I found it almost unwatchable to the point where I was just like, oh, this is just ridiculous. It tarnishes the legacy of Tobe Hooper's movie, and Tobe Hooper directed that one, I think, didn't he?
Did he? I have to look that up. I'm not sure I've even seen the sequel because I think I've been affected by the bad press. I've heard that it's very different and a lot of people don't like it.
However, so yeah, it is directed by Tobe Hooper. It's a black comedy slasher film, so obviously the tone is very different. However, like in the realms of the horror world, I think it's quite well respected. Now, for me, I'm almost like, I don't understand. Does that make me an idiot? Is everyone else an idiot? Maybe we're all just misunderstood.
You just don't get it. Yeah, you just didn't get it, Ben.
Yeah, it just peed me off. Peed. It's like how polite I'm being. It peed me off ever so much.
It's a bonus episode. The folks listening to these have got a higher standard, of course.
Yeah. Don't want to throw in the F's and the C bomb.
No effing and jeffing.
I will. Absolutely zero effing and jeffing. I will apologise because this bonus episode, I think we were going to do it around about the time of the movie being released. I think we bit off more than we could chew in terms of not just bonus content, but just content in general. We've been covering a film festival as well. So
yeah, well, to be fair, I think finding time to watch the movie was easy enough. I think we all saw the film on the weekend it came out, right? I'm pretty sure we saw it when the discourse on it was pretty fresh, but then finding time more than once a week to get everyone together has been a little bit challenging because we're all over the shop, busy.
Yeah, but we've done
There's two of us in now. That's close enough.
Like not quite a month later, but getting there. Two of us, that is close enough. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. As who said that? Meatloaf?
Yeah,
someone
go
said
on.
it.
Attribute it to Meatloaf.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. Meatloaf. Yeah, that's a Meatloaf song. There we go.
Got him.
There we go. Rest in peace, meat. So today's movie is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the 2022 movie that was released on Netflix back in February. I think it was February 18th, 2022. What was kind of strange about this was that a lot of people saw it. And
yeah,
it's got to be the Netflix thing, obviously, because it's so much more accessible to everybody. Whereas the movie before that, Leatherface, which I think was 19, possibly. Don't think anyone, but it seemed like everyone who was anyone, not just horror fans, but fans of movies in general, was watching it, and sort of the discourse.
Yeah, it was trending on like the top, top 10 streaming in your location this week film. Certainly, like in the UK, we had it as a top 10 streaming. So,
and I think
I don't have the stats in front of me. Hit a lot of numbers though, right?
I think we discussed it on one of our previous episodes where I think this movie was streamed more than anything else on a particular weekend, which is, if anything, good for the genre. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Like a horror movie franchise, like a sequel / reboot / recall / something. Legacy-quel, using a very popular, obviously, franchise name, is doing well, but people clearly still have an appetite for that, and I think that's
people
good.
Turned up to see it.
Yeah, and I think it's good for Leatherface as well, because I'm sure if there was a brand new Halloween movie, Scream movie, something like that, it would have done well as well. But it's good for Leatherface to be able to stand alongside those big bad scary bastards and do the numbers on Netflix and get the body count in, because clearly that's what he's done in this one. So let me just give you a little intro to the movie, because you might be listening to this, you might know nothing about it. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a 2022 American slasher film directed by David Blue Garcia. It's from so I think the reason this was initially quite hyped up is because it's from a story by Fede Álvarez, who obviously made the Evil Dead remake, Don't Breathe, and is currently slated, I don't know if slated or confirmed, to be directing a new take on Alien, with Ridley Scott producing. So this film is a direct sequel to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974, and the 9th installment of the overall franchise. So it seems, I don't know if it completely vetoes all of the other movies, because I think the director did say, look, in some reality, I don't know if it's the multiverse of Leatherface, in some reality, the sequels do exist, but in this particular story, it's directly following on from the first one. So I don't really know what that means, but
I think in many ways, I think the popularity of comic book movies has basically given so many people such a great shortcut to do what they want with reality in films. 20 years ago, Ben, someone was talking about alternate realities and so on. All but your comic fans would be like, explain that to me, I don't get it. But now, because these films are so popular and everyone's into it, and everyone has seen, spoilers for No Way Home, everyone, 3, 2, 1, 3 Spider-Mans in the same film from different realities.
How many?
And it's a great exciting thing. But now everyone has it for shorthand. So now if you're doing something, in some reality, if I decide to go back and do one of those, then that exists. But for the purposes of this one, it's not in this particular reality and timeline. So basically, you can chop and change whatever you want, and actually, you've got ways to hand wave that shit away a little bit. And actually, great, because then if it goes really well, then if people have fond memories for both of the things, then you'll be given a job trying to mash those together later on again.
Yeah, well, the fact that this is the 9th installment, this franchise has gone in some interesting directions, not just with Texas Chainsaw 2, but also Leatherface, which is the 3rd movie, the new, what they called, the new generation, the next generation.
The next generation. There's a prequel, right?
Yeah.
There's a prequel which is a prequel to the early 2000s. Is that Jessica Biel? It's there's a prequel to that one. There's one of the more recent ones where where Leatherface is the main girl's cousin in it. Yeah,
that was just the one called Texas Chainsaw, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously,
have they not done any? Have they not left the planet with Texas Chainsaw yet?
Don't think so. I reckon
it writes itself. You call it Leather Space.
Yeah, it does. It does write itself, but still, hire Andy Conduit Turner to write that, please.
Yeah, all right, Leatherface. I mean, I will say, Ben, that it isn't necessarily in some reality the other films will exist, but
Leather. How would he get to space? Or can he be scared of flying? I mean, I know going up in spaceships.
Probably got a problem with it, hasn't he? Yeah.
I reckon a launch happens and he just kills people in the shuttle. You know, something similar obviously happens in this movie. Have you seen Leatherface, the 2017 prequel, where it's got like, there's a bit of a twist in that, which I, just to be fair, didn't see the twist coming, but still I was like, oh, what? Bit naff. It's a bit all over the place, that one. I only watched it fairly recently for the first time ever. So it's supposed to be like, oh, here's how. What I fundamentally hate, right, about any form of prequel / origin story is when it goes like this. Do you want to know how Leatherface became Leatherface? Yes, I do. I want to know. Here he is, really young. Okay. And he's basically the same character, but young.
Yeah, they're the same, but young. He's got slightly nicer hair.
No, that's not an origin. That's not a prequel. Like, a perfect example for me is Gotham, when they're like, it's the origin of all of these characters. Oh, right, yeah. It's the origin of some of the biggest villains in Batman's Rogues Gallery. Okay, like who? Like the Riddler.
Fish Mooney, the big most important villain of all.
They go, right, like the Riddler. Here's the Riddler. Already telling riddles. No, that's not what I want. I don't want him already telling riddles. I want to know why he tells riddles, what started it, and then he went, oh, here's Poison Ivy as a kid. What's happened? She's just controlling these plants. Have a look at that.
She's a Poison Ivy already.
This isn't a prequel. That's just the same character, but young.
That's God. Muppet Babies, effectively. You're just Muppet Babies.
Muppet Babies.
The same characters, they're just small.
Do you remember how the Muppet Babies theme tune went?
I could sing it to you now, Ben.
You could?
Yeah.
Please do it.
Muppet Babies, words I do not know what. Da, 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 da.
Exactly it. Goes, I knew that. I just wanted to confirm that you knew it.
Yeah. I love, my favorite trope of Muppet Babies is open a door and then there'll be like a Darth Vader on the other side, like a film clip.
Is it Muppet Babies? It sounds a bit like they go together like that. Is that from Grease?
That's Grease. But
it sounds like that though. Muppet Babies
does not sound like Muppet Babies. No. Thank you. Now those two are forever tangled in my head.
If you tuned into this bonus episode to listen to two guys talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre and expected not to hear the Muppet Babies theme tune, shame on you.
I think this is what you come to our content for, I think. Like, you've got horror, you're here to hang out about it. You could end up on Muppet Babies, you could end up on all
Power
kinds
Rangers.
of things.
We did Power Rangers a couple of weeks ago. Extensively discussing Power Rangers.
But yeah, it's these asides that people.
It's just going to get to a point where we bargain with ourselves as to what's horror and not, just so we can have an excuse to talk about.
Yeah, we've never done that in the past. But basically, what I'm saying about the asides is, listeners at home, you like it, you love it, you need it. So there you go.
All three of those things.
Yeah.
Okay, so a brief synopsis for this movie is, after nearly 50 years of hiding, that's a lot of hiding. Does that make Leatherface the world hide and seek champion? Possibly.
I would say so. And like, it appears he's just been having a nice life, just living with that lady.
So Leatherface returns to terrorize a group of idealistic young friends who accidentally disrupt his carefully shielded world in a remote Texas town. I don't think he returns. He's just knocking about where he's always been knocking about.
He's just getting on, and these people turn up and don't do the proper paperwork that sets him off. In many ways, this is one of the more interesting things, not defending what he goes on to do. Two wrongs do not make a right. But in many ways,
dozens of wrongs.
He is just getting on.
Yeah.
He is just getting on with things. Arguably, he should have been in prison for the things he did in the 1970s. But to be fair, Ben, a lot of big names should be in prison for things they did in the 70s. It only comes out after they've died.
It's true. As soon as Leatherface kicks the bucket, all of these killings are going to come to light.
Yeah.
But is he ever going to kick the bucket? Because he seems to age like Yoda. Because
like a fine wine.
Because I'm looking at this guy, right, and I'm thinking 60 tops. 60 tops. Like, from you see a couple of shots of him without the mask, without the leathery face. 60 years old, surely. No older than
So
that.
you to believe he was 10 in the original?
He was 10, all right? He just
Kevin McAllister. Those people
a lot
came
of
to his
vegetables.
house.
See the size of him? So I'm thinking, is he supposed to be like 20 in the original? And this point, 50 years later, he's 70.
Yeah.
Right?
But to be fair, I saw the state of that house in the first one. He doesn't have the best standard of living.
That's true.
I'm not sure he's getting towards. I'm not sure he's getting up to his 70s and still being in absolute fighting shape.
They're always eating loads of horrible shite. He's bound to have got food poisoning at least 25 times in his life, surely.
Yeah, I feel like what we got from the original Tobe Hooper Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and certainly from some of the remakes, like the kitchen and the way those people are eating. Sometimes people, like, it's a recipe for disaster. It's like the baker's house in Resident Evil 7. It makes that look like a Michelin-starred restaurant.
Yeah, it does.
Gordon Ramsay goes in that kitchen. He'd be like, "Close it down.
It's raw." This
Yeah.
hand, this severed hand.
He'd be getting those 2 bits of bread and putting them on Leatherface's head. "What have I made?" It's like, "Oh, idiot sandwich." Yeah,
Yeah.
fucking.
Say it louder. A Leatherface idiot sandwich, correct.
Best little aside, best Gordon Ramsay Hell's Kitchen ever is when there's a guy there and he goes, "You are a fat idiot," and the guy goes, "Don't call me fat, Gordon, you prick."
I think I've only ever seen Hell's Kitchen bits in meme form, in little snippets, little hors d'oeuvres. So basically the crux of this is that for some reason there's a load of young entrepreneurs, social media influencer types, I guess you would say, because I think that's how they've got a bit of money and a bit of a following. For some reason, go into the abandoned Texas town of Harlow to auction off all these like old abandoned properties to create some sort of like trendy, super gentrified area. But
yeah,
it's
putting some trendy wine bars
miles away from everything. There's no way that's going to take off. Who's investing in this? Dragon's Den, I'm out.
These big, these big kind of modern folks, all very social media, all very online. They haven't bid remotely on these things, done a video tour. No, we will get on the bus and go over there.
Yeah. We'll get on the bus and we'll get loads of our followers over, because that's what they are. They're like they're sort of followers / friends, and
Yeah, and like just investors and everything that they know. That's all from one of our main characters who set this up, and they've got this tour there. And they've also, by the way, they have arrived on the town on the day of the auction, about 20-25 minutes before it's happening. Not a couple of days to get it all sorted.
Get it all set up. They've just turned up. It just seems
literally
like
flipping it over. Yeah.
If I knew anybody and they were like, "This is my business idea," I'd be like, "I respect you for the hustle, but what on earth?"
You guys are Fire Festival in this.
You guys are Fire Festival in it. It's a piece of bread with a shitty piece of cheese on it, and one lettuce leaf. That's basically what you're going to end up having. Where are you going to get... It seems like the kind of place that goes, "Yeah, we only source from local places." It's a wasteland out there.
Yeah, literally, what are you going to be buying? Buying in your tumbleweeds? I guess they could get things from that shop that they visit, from the other shop that's open that's on the motorway before they get there at the beginning. Maybe they could buy things from there.
There's always a little shop like that, no? Basically,
but yeah,
before any of these films or films like these, I'm talking Hills Have Eyes, take place, you must first visit a gas station. Did they visit a gas station in this?
Yeah, to have a slightly ominous time.
That's it.
And she buys like a little penis man from there, right?
A little, what was it? Penis man, like a little.
Or am I thinking of the? Is it all blurred into one? Am I thinking of the petrol station they visit in the Slumber Party Massacre remake?
But basically, any form of little petrol station, gas station, usually ran by somebody who clearly knows what awaits them. Is kind of what happens
in this at the petrol station. In this case, they kind of have, and this the whole film banks on this very heavily, which it comes into the reviews, it comes into the content of the film. This film effectively is about culture war, which is the same, the interaction they have at the very beginning. They see a man filling up his car, and it's in Texas, which is an open carry state, so you can walk around. You've got you have your gun on you, and he's got his gun there, and they immediately go to oh, look at this man with his gun out, means he's got a little willy, isn't it? And they got like, and you know, he carries a gun, which you can agree with or not, but he's not deaf, so he basically says he has a bit of a go at them, not in a menacing way, but it's an interaction which depends on your side of things. You could fall with either side of that argument with those characters, and it then plays on that, because that character that they've had a go at having a gun and have a bit of an encounter with turns out to also be the handyman that's there to work with them and get some of the buildings set up.
Handyman.
And he's a handyman, and they want to rely on him for some security and some support later on in the film.
What is kind of interesting in that sense, though, is that one of the main characters, Leela, who is... There's two sisters who are like the main characters, Melody and Leela, and there's another... What's the other guy called? Dante? Yeah, Dante.
Is Dante the main guy? Yeah.
Dante's Inferno. So obviously Leela she survived a school shooting, and the trauma of that is kind of really lent into with the trauma. I mean, first of all, worst luck of anybody ever to survive the school shooting, and then a few years later to be faced with a Leatherface
with a Chainsaw Massacre,
with a chainsaw man.
Yeah, you don't like. Yeah, it's bad luck. But I think you mentioned this at the time, Ben. It's almost not that I want to see more school shootings in my entertainment, but it feels like that element that she's a survivor of a terrible incident at a school doesn't go too far into, like, we see it as a flashback, and then we see it come up later on when she's looking at handling the guns. But it feels like this film has a number of side stories, or a number of directions it could take, but it never fully completes any of them. Because it's something about her past, but I wouldn't say that it, apart from coming back and she remembers it again before she has the final kind of battle that she indulges with Leatherface later on. It's not like an event that she, unless I've missed something, like it's not something that she learned from that event, or something that was left with her in that event that means that she does survive the incident.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be, I think it's quite good character development, though. It's just something a little bit different to give these characters, because in a way, on the surface, I think we're supposed to kind of dislike a lot of these characters who have just swanned into, a small town, bought up the town, and now want to turn it into, the thing is,
gentrified housing.
Yeah, I mean, as it depends what sort of generation of person you are as well, I think, because if you're from a particular generation, you're going to look at these people and just think, oh my god, avocado on toast hipsters coming in with their, you know what I mean, like, oh bloody hell, if you just cancelled your Netflix subscription for 6 months, you could
buy 10 Texas towns.
You could buy 10 Texas towns. It's either that, and I guess they're painted in that way, whereas I don't know, people who aren't of that ilk and who are of a different generation kind of see the similarities between that generation and your own, but at the same time can't condone a lot of the stuff they do in this, which is like, move out this house immediately, you slag.
Yeah, and that's another thing as well. Like, this is a very tech, like, one of the inciting event of this entire movie. This is your Blair Witch booting those rocks over. This is your inciting incident. This is what's his name from Ghostbusters turning off the containment unit.
yeah.
They come in, and the lady is quite nice to them, but has some old-fashioned language in terms of Dante in particular, and it puts them all on the defensive. And before you know it, there's a big row because they insist that a house has been sold and she needs to be evicted. And they get into a scuffle with her, and the lady who is visibly dragging around an oxygen cylinder, surprising no one, like can't really deal with being harassed by people and collapses and then goes on to die, which sets Leatherface off into a frenzy because he lives with her. He's like an adopted boy who's been living with her all this time.
So he's not. This is the thing. They've kind of vetoed the whole family dynamic and scenario for Leatherface. They've gone, this isn't his mum or anything like that. It's because how old does mum have to be anyway? 190. Yeah. This is just a kindly woman who's taken him in from the orphanage. Not only she's gone, right, I'm going to take you in for this orphanage. He's gone, thank God. And he's going, but also we're going to live here in this orphanage. And he's gone, fuck it, I just want to get out of here.
Yeah, no, you can stay here in my home for wayward boys.
So this woman, Ginny, is played by Alice Krige, who, I mean, she's obviously a good actress because whenever I see her, I get the willies up me a little bit because she's in Silent Hill as the sort of mad, bloody woman, the bloody mad woman,
the horrid lady,
and she is also in the fairly recent movie Gretel and Hansel as like a scary witchy woman. So something about the way she looks puts me,
Is she the blooming? Yeah, imagine having that. She's the bloody Borg queen, isn't she?
Oh, what from
Star Trek?
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, of course she is. Yeah, you're right. I honestly did not even think of that until you said it.
So she's horrible space robot. Yeah. And then lots of other things. She's also in Sleepwalkers that make her a horrible cat person as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what she is in Sleepwalkers. She might just be woman in shop.
Just from seeing her in this movie, I've gone, oh no, something bad's going to happen, and it does. But to her, she dies. Yeah. Leatherface turns up at the top of the stairs. At this point, I was a bit like, is that supposed to be Leatherface? I don't know. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
But maybe that was just because he didn't have a Leatherface. Easy to mistake someone as not being Leatherface when they haven't got a Leatherface.
Yeah, you think, it's just it's all face there.
It's all skin face, man. Not Leatherface. Although he is more skin face in this film. So he comes along for the ride. He gets in the ambulance. One of the other friends of the young'uns gets in as well. Is it Ruth?
Is it Dante's girlfriend, Ruth?
Okay, right. Something's got to happen because I don't know how much more of this I can take, which is people who look like Margot Robbie / what's her name from Ready or Not as well?
People who look like I could have said that. I could have said her name until you Samara Weaving.
Samara Weaving, well done. Basically, if you look like Margot Robbie or Samara Weaving, first of all, congratulations. Great for you. Great for your career. Great for, fans of either of those actresses. But it's getting confusing because everyone, like, if I start to lose my mind a bit as I get older and my brain starts to, deteriorate as it does, apparently it happens from the age of 27. I'm 35 now, so probably getting there. If that keeps happening, everyone looks like Margot Robbie / Samara Weaving, I'm going to be baffled, confused.
What hope have you got, basically, Ben? If we're going to have to be still doing this unless we age like Leatherface, then we're going to need, I guess, the special brain juice from the deep blue sea sharks. That's the only way we're going to be able to restore ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. But then maybe we'll go rogue if that happens. We'll escape from the confines
and eat Samuel L. Jackson.
Eat Samuel L. Jackson when you least expect it. But so basically, long story short, what I'm trying to say is, God damn, this woman looks like Margot Robbie / Samara Weaving.
Yeah, too many people look a bit like, I get it. Margot Robbie's doing very well for herself, so it's probably quite expensive now for a film. And very busy.
Exactly. So they're
So
going,
you've got to
right.
find people that look a bit like her. I feel bad for Ruth, though, because actually she doesn't do anything wrong. She even goes to the hospital with that lady.
Yeah. So everybody's reaction to this is kind of like, a couple of them are like, we did nothing wrong. Sure, she's died from a heart attack, but that would have happened anyway if we weren't here. That sort of attitude. Whereas Ruth is a bit more like, I'm going to go with her. But then the police, is it two police officers get in the cars?
Yeah, it's like a local, because it is like quite a local rural community. The police, the sheriff and his deputy, like that is the ambulance. They're going to be driving him to. They're like all the emergency services, probably the AA as well. If someone breaks down, they're going to be changing that tire.
That's how it happens. Yeah. So when they're driving to the hospital, God knows where that is. Ginny does die. She didn't die in the house. She died like in the back of the ambulance on the way to the hospital. And yeah, that basically makes Leatherface go, I've been living for 50 years with this lovely lady. She's been keeping me sane. The second she dies, I'm gonna go back to my old ways.
He probably gets like I can imagine if this film had been made a few years ago. I say a few, 10, 15 years ago at this point. This is when Drowning Pool comes on.
Yeah. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies put the Leatherface on your face. You got a chainsaw yet? Does he automatically have access to a chainsaw at this moment? No, he doesn't, does he?
Yeah, he summons it like Thor's hammer. Puts his hand out the window. So he summons this. He doesn't actually summon the chainsaw. He gets that a bit later. That's like his Act 3 reveal when he gets his chainsaw. But he goes absolutely nanas and takes out the sheriff and the deputy and crashes in a lovely picturesque sunflower field.
Yeah.
And then not Margot Robbie gets it. Sadly,
well,
no fault of her own.
He makes himself a new mask first, doesn't he?
Oh, he does. He makes himself Leatherface.
He cuts off who has been his mother figure for 50 years. He's probably been thinking that whole time, I can't wait to cut your face off and wear it. And he finally gets his wish because she died, and he puts her Leatherface on. Well, I say Leatherface, she might have a good skincare routine. She's a bit of an older woman now, so
yeah, she's an older lady, but I don't like. I'm not a tanner, Ben. I've never claimed to be, and I never will. But I'm pretty sure you can't just remove skin and call it leather straight away. There's a process.
Yeah. Oh, I've just made you a lovely leather jacket. Is that literally just come off a cow like 10 seconds ago? No.
It's not that. It's just skin. Of course, all leather comes from the leather region of France. Otherwise, it is just sparkling skin.
Oh wow! Okay, I see what you did there, Mr. Champagne.
So he's
sparkling skin, like
sparkling skin face is he's at it again. He's he gets I think this is one of the more brutal kills of the film, especially as it's probably for one of the more innocent victims.
What does he do? I don't remember. Stabs her in the neck. Punches her in the...
Yeah, but I think it's just like a very brutal hit, and it's a very close up. It's a very close up, quite. I think he leans in through the car and really just gets her up close and personal.
I kind of think also, this is what I'm thinking. Superhuman strength. He obviously had that in 1973. How's he got superhuman strength still? Has he been working out? Is he just genetically superior? Is that what we're saying?
Mate, you know those things that you get that you can do hand grip with to just do your grip strength?
Yeah.
It's just 50 years in the house. That
50 years of that. Never started doing it in his sleep.
Yeah. And he had like a little wooden chainsaw and he's just doing the practice motions with it. Yeah.
There we go. So that happens back at Harlow. I think everyone's kind of just walking around, having a look about. Leela, the one who survived the school shooting, she strikes up it says here strikes up a friendship, but just, I don't know.
She starts chatting with the handyman /
Mechanic man.
The mechanic. Like he's a bit of everything. But he's also the guy with the gun that's going to be handy later on.
Yeah.
He's had a falling out with Dante because they've already said like, you did check that you actually did own that building that you just harassed a woman to death out of, and he's like, yeah, I did check. And he turns around and he's like, I didn't check. Not really.
I didn't actually check. No.
But it's too late. We can't argue about that now because a whole busload of millennials has turned up.
Would you get old bus? I'd make sure all the I's were dotted and T's were crossed before I got a whole busload of people turning up.
I think if you're invested in this entire town, you can afford to have come a day early, if not a week.
Come a day early, and then yeah. So apparently these people are potential buyers, but they all seem like sort of influencer types. It's some influencers / investors. So yeah, they all turn up, and I think we kind of know what's possibly going to be happening at this point. I think they start doing the auction, don't they? Fairly soon. Yeah,
they're literally auctioning off properties and so on. It's like, oh yeah, this will be really cool juice bar. And this will be great little place for beard oil and what other things? Avocados, obviously.
Avocados on toast.
Oh, expensive cereal that you can eat at lunchtime.
Serial killer cafe.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So that's what they're on for opening. But then before I don't know how Leatherface. I don't remember how Leatherface gets back from town. The fields. He just walk it.
But he walks. I mean, to be fair, he can't have been gone. They can't have got that far, but I guess
only 10 minutes up the road. Only at Sunflower Hill, just over the road.
Yeah, I'll be all right. I'll walk back. Don't worry about it. I got a lovely face to keep me warm. I'm all good. So I think around about this time is when Melody and Dante they go back to the orphanage to try and find proof to make sure that they definitely removed Ginny from her home, thus killing her. To make sure that she hasn't got the rights or anything like that for the.
And they do find proof, but it's the opposite proof to the proof they want. It's a big bit of paper that says, "I own this house, not you."
Yeah, fuck you. And obviously, they're kind of devastated about that. And now we get like an introduction of a legacy character into the mix, who I guess is kind of playing the Laurie Strode type role from Halloween 2018, where it's like, I've been waiting my whole life to get back at Leatherface. I think if you've been waiting your whole life, like, he's not that far from probably where he was. I'm sure you could have tracked him down in some sort of vigilante style.
Yeah, you were in the same town this entire time.
Oh God, that's a coincidence, isn't it? We're in the same town. We never bumped into each other down the post office. He doesn't leave the house very much.
Do you so I'm here, I'm hunting Leatherface down. I've been driven insane by this event that I was subjected to 50 years ago. Do you think that Home for Wayward Boys is going to be a place to check where all sorts of waifs and strays turn up? A lot of disturbed characters, probably. No. I'll be checking down the DMV. Thank you.
So Sally Hardesty is played by Olwen Fouéré. Is not the original actress, because the original actress was Marilyn Burns, who died in 2014. However, I think a lot of the marketing for this kind of felt like it was trying to make out that she was the original actress.
I wouldn't have told you that it wasn't without looking it up. I
got that vibe just from, I think there are bits in the trailers where it showed Sally and then it flashed back to that scene at the end of the original where she's in the truck, sort of crying. That
was when she made the decision. When she was like cackling away that she'd escaped from him in this desperate situation, really got the vibe of, I'm planning to kill you one day, even if it takes 50 years.
I mean, I'm not one for holding a grudge, right? But I can't even imagine holding a grudge for a year. I mean, I know it's murder, but 50 years holding a grudge, I reckon at some point, 35 years in, you'd be like, I think I'm over it. I'm done.
I don't know, Ben, I'm quite far along that way. I've told you this story already. Mrs. Radford on my first day of school. Yeah. You don't say what? You say, yeah, my first day of school, Mrs. Radford. Not been to school. Literally ever.
God's sake, Miss Radford.
So I've had that one for, 34 years, I guess.
But not to the point where you wanted to act on getting revenge in any sense.
I figured time is on my side on that one.
Like if there was an opportunity where, I don't know, I mean, if you find yourself in the perfect opportunity where the roles are reversed somehow, who knows how or why, then you could do it.
Yeah. I guess that's it. I guess it's scaled revenge. I don't need to wait for 50 years to kill a teacher that's slightly embarrassed like 5-year-old me. I would like the opportunity for her to say something to me and have not quite got the right social etiquette and gone, oh, no, if I say how do you do, you say how do you do back. You don't say fine.
You don't say do you how.
No. Nice to see you. Good. Ha! No, wrong.
Fuck you. Get your
nice
references to the mid-90s correct.
Nice. Yeah.
Maybe they'd be a similar sort of moment, because obviously when Sally is faced with Leatherface, when she comes face to face with his Leatherface, there is a moment where she says, "Don't you remember me?" And he clearly doesn't. Do you reckon that would happen with you and Miss, what's her name?
Mrs. Radford. Yeah,
Mrs.
probably.
Radford,
I imagine she's taught thousands of kids and told them,
"Don't you remember me? You humiliated me in front of the class." And she'd be like, "I don't even know who you are." Thanos style. "You took everything from me. I don't even know who you are." I'm fuming. So she gets a call from somebody to the point. What do they say? Do they pretty much go, "You never guess what, Sally? Leatherface is back." And she goes,
"Yeah, the guy at the petrol station that we saw at the beginning. He gets on the blower to it, doesn't he?"
He's a shit stirrer, that guy. Jesus.
Yeah.
What a shit stirrer.
Phones are up, spilling the tea.
50 years. He's like, maybe she's over it. Nah, it's all right. Like those people who always want to give you the information of like one of your ex-partners, what they're doing or who they're with these days. You're like, I don't care. Don't tell me that. I'm not interested.
They've got kids now. Really happy they are. Thanks.
They've got kids, you know. Yeah. They're really attractive kids as well. Like, oh, fuck off. Leave me alone. What do you find kids attractive?
Saw them the other day when they were down at the Rolls Royce factory getting another gold one.
And you go, yep. I'll just climb into my Ford Focus and cry.
Oh yeah. They got it as a special present for lifetime achievement for sexiness, I think it was. Yeah.
But basically, that is what this guy's doing. He's being that friend who wants to give you that information.
Oh yeah, he was just going past. Really, I mean, only caught him for a second, but he was off achieving all of your ambitions.
Bloody hell! You better go show him the what's what.
Yeah.
So
she goes, right, I'm on the way.
Sally Hardesty is now apparently a battle-hardened Texas Ranger. I want to know what kind of battles she's been hardened by.
If this was a Zack Snyder number, there'd be an entire series of like Sally Hardy, Texas Ranger.
Yeah. So she heads
like
out
Dog the Bounty Hunter, doing stuff.
Dog the Bounty Hunter. She heads out to investigate, apparently. If investigate means shoot it with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Right?
Have a brief look at those murders and go, yep, that's a murder he's done.
I'm just going to do some investigating. All right, what's your technique? Are you are you detective? Are you world's greatest detective? What gadgets have you got? What are your techniques? I'm just going to shoot it in the face with a shotgun. Buckshot.
Yeah, so I'm going to go and have a look at where there's been a murder. Maybe she puts a detective vision on, then finds his footprints that she can follow to the scene later on, so she can literally come and like shoot at him towards the end. And
I think it was obvious how this was gonna play out. I just did you not think it was obvious how it's gonna play out?
Yeah.
I just got a feel because as Leatherface starts to kill. Starts to get his kill.
He starts getting all of our disposable characters. So he gets Dante. I mean, serves him right for not doing his paperwork properly. So he gets Dante. We get the most comment baity bit when he gets on because it started raining, so all the influencers are on the bus.
Well, think about how he gets his chainsaw first. He it's hidden in the wall. Now, apparently, here's a nice touch. It's the same brand of chainsaw as the chainsaw he used in 1973. Is it the same? Supposed to be the same chainsaw? I guess we won't really know. But yeah, he kills.
When he moved into that home for wayward boys, and they boarded it up in the wall rather than give it away.
Yeah. This orphan boy, he's got a chainsaw. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that. Oh, just stick it in a wall. We might need it later. Stick it in a wall.
In case of emergency, break wall.
Yeah. So I think Dante gets like... So at this point, doesn't Melody witness Dante like getting... She hides under the bed, doesn't she?
Yeah. She hides and he gets not immediately killed. He gets a bit killed and then finished off.
He gets a bit killed, then wakes up, walks around pretty much dead, and then collapses, right? And that is when the Texas Ranger dude... Not the Texas Ranger dude, sorry.
Just the repairman.
The Texas mechanic man dude goes in to investigate, and he gets brutalized, you know. I think what we're supposed to believe in this is that everyone's going to die, killed by Leatherface in the most unforgiving, brutal way possible. His bloodlust will not be quenched. He is... I read somewhere someone described it as a shark movie on land.
I think that metaphor might come expressly from a scene later on in the film when one of the characters is crawling under the floorboards and the chainsaw itself is like a shark's fin coming through the wood.
Yeah, great point. Definitely, that was good.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. I can see that, and that's the next 20-30 minutes of this movie, right? It's just a rampage, a massacre, if you will.
It is just a rampage. But I think, as we mentioned, so we briefly talked about this film during our episode where we had Lucy as a guest on the Orphan episode 220. We briefly spoke about this, and I kind of spoke about how that with something like Michael Myers or Ghostface or something, there are certain tropes and story beats that we kind of have come to expect. So when there is a movie which is basically a unbelievable killing spree and nothing much else to it in terms of story, when we expected more story, a la Halloween Kills, that was frustrating. Whereas with this, which is a brand new standalone film, I can forgive it for being heavy on the violence and just about the rampage, because we haven't had a film before which tries to set something up as this is part one of the story, now here's part two, and it's just a rampage. The fact that this is just a standalone thing and it's a rampage, I enjoyed it. I was into it.
I think if you face it up, and aside from going into all the things in the middle that don't exist in this reality as we know, you and I, as easily to be digested, this doesn't happen in this reality. But what depth of story was there in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre to build off? They're in Texas. Those people rock up to that house and there's some wrong-uns there and they massacre them. There isn't like he is the spirit of a boy who used to make leather, and then like that isn't a thing that happens. No, so it can be quite straightforward.
In terms of like mythology and, you know, particular characters that you expect to see in these films and particular things you expect to see, it's just a bloke with a chainsaw, you know? And I think part of that is which makes the original. And I think I've said the original. I like the original. I like the remake of the original, and I quite like this as well. So I think in terms of those three films, it sort of represents that grimy sort of, there's this sort of like alien otherworldly nature to it where you're a bit like, well, I don't live in a place like that and I don't know people like that, so I'm terrified of the unknown essentially because of these people. I don't know any cannibals.
There might, for my money there might be horribles, so you got to watch out. And you know, in this sense, and again, we talked about the school shooting that didn't really pay off. Like, technically, Leatherface in the beginning of this, a little bit of a victim in the beginning, right? Like a troubled person who has like a grief-based snap. Obviously, someone with a history of violence who is thrown back into that because of, you could argue, the insensitive way that he was. You could also argue that he would have gone mad the second that lady died of anything else. Like if Jean-Luc Picard had ripped her off a robot body and cast her out into space, leather space. That's how it happens. Yeah. So, like you could argue that he would have always done that, but you could also argue that he is responding to something that's happened to him as a victim. In many ways, is it John Wick? Except, you know, he's less handsome.
Well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah,
But yeah, he's hanging.
yeah, he's going at it. Yeah, he's going at it in this movie, and this is where all the influences are on the bus, and we get, I don't know, is it inspired or is it terribly lazy millennial / Gen Z writing when it's like, hey, if you do anything scary, Chainsaw Man, you're cancelled.
I mean, that line was in the trailer as well, and I think it was a big sigh from everybody who watched it. And it's a bit like, okay, I get it. Do I particularly like it? Well, not really, but is it making me suddenly hate this film? No, I kind of enjoyed this scene where there's a massacre under these like blue fluorescent lights. The blood looks like black under blue fluorescent lights, doesn't it? So it did have a particular, and there's
it's a nice stylistic job.
Yeah, and do you know what? It reminded me of, sometimes when there's like a single location film and you're a bit like, how can this film go on for 90 minutes in a single location? But then within that single location, they're a little, for example, they end up hiding in the toilet of the, like, can you imagine?
Yeah,
imagine like a 90-minute Chainsaw Man trying to get you in a bus movie. I just imagine that, like a single location. And it's just super claustrophobic. But there obviously is a good moment as well where Leela is on the floor lying down and there's a flashback to what she looked like when she saw a victim of the school shooting. But then someone gets like their face caved in with a chainsaw.
But this entire scene is definitely what's driving a lot of the conversation around this movie. I think this is the hinge point that a lot of people have gravitated towards. I have some of the reviews up here on Letterboxd. Well, some of the things here, and like I say, quite a polarizing movie. To be honest, a lot of the positive reviews have more to say, but the people that don't like it and they gave it poor reviews seem to be hinging on one point that seems to have broken it for them. So Tyler, 1.5 stars. This literally happened to my friend Laurie 4 years ago. Adam, 2.5 stars, a little bit more positive. Leatherface literally killed cancel culture. It's not exactly literally killing a cancel culture, Adam. Sorry. Theo, 1 star. Look how they, in brackets, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, massacred my boy. Joe A, say that Netflix should waive next month's fee as an apology for putting this movie out. Dakota says that I've seen porn with better writing and direction than this. A little bit harsh. Maybe you're watching some exceptionally produced porn.
Some of it's quite high budget these days. Also, right, when they say things like, look what they did to my boy. Have you seen like 7 of these other films? Like he's in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, he's a big bumbling oaf. Almost like almost a comedy character. Almost like a I can't think of a big bumbling oaf character.
Cuthbert Lily, who is dead silly from.
I was gonna say Lenny from Of Mice and Men, but that's definitely not a comedy. But you know what I mean? It's just like this. He's played up to be this big idiot.
Is he like the abominable snowman from like those Looney Tunes?
He's like, what's his name from Harry and the Hendersons?
Harry.
He's like, what's his name from Says Name of Thing? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh. What's his face from? Yeah, Okay.
He's the funny bloke from Mr. Bean. What's his name? Oh.
The thing is, right? Films like this that include Mr. Bean. Films like this that include something like that, which makes people go, "Oh, bloody hell." Modern films, modern people, modern this, modern that. Like, they're designed to create an extreme reaction from you.
Yeah.
And by having,
I think it's clever marketing. I think it's cynic. I think it is largely cynically done. Saying, anyone who dislikes modern elements of culture goes, "Oh, I hate it, Al." They think you shouldn't be bad about things. So these bloody liberals, like,
the thing is, like, culture war and politics, like, is you can see it in everything. Like,
Mhm.
for example, when people say keep politics out of and then say something, it's like, well, politics are kind of in everything. As long as
Keep your politics out of Captain America. First issue punches Hitler.
yeah, punches Hitler. But you know what I mean? If it involving human beings, like politics are going to come into it in some way. Like what is there out there that's completely void of politics? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I genuinely don't know. What is there? Like, because you could say, oh, avocado on toast, that's just food. That's nothing to do with politics. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing something in like the Daily Mail. Not that I read it, I just saw the headline online, which was like blaming Meghan Markle for eating
Eating avocado.
eating avocado because it was like displacing some farmers who were doing it. So do you know what I mean? Like, people will look for politics in anything because it is in everything. So to say keep politics out of anything, especially like when you're making a movie that's 50 years old and suddenly you're setting it in 2022, how can you make it feel like it's set in 2022? It needs to feel believable.
Yeah, we have like now, like it or love it. Like, a lot of things are politically charged and polarized these days. If things are going to be set in a modern era, that is the thing that you would base it on. It's like having a film set in the late 30s, early 40s, and there not being a war on.
Yeah,
like that. Like that's a
great point. A great point.
Yeah, you have to lean into these things, but oddly enough, skillfully done in terms of marketing, the way you stack up your victims and the way you have the things, because the film in itself is actually largely apolitical. If you think of like the actual action beats of the film, it's just about a man who is a Texas chainsaw wielding wrongen that saws a lot of people up. It wouldn't matter if the people he sawed up were from any scope of the political spectrum you would like. It doesn't matter.
Spectrum, from any country in the world, any identified as any gender, any sexuality, he's gonna stick a chainsaw through them and slice them and dice them.
Chainsaws, men, women, all cultures, all creeds. That old lady gets
an old lady. Do you reckon if he had a chance, he'd do a kid?
Yeah, props.
He is. I mean, that's again, we're talking about him as this shark on land type of guy. Sharks are gonna do the same, you know. Well, obviously sharks are misrepresented. They don't kill half as many people as you think. But in movies, they're angry, banging, they're wrong.
They're dead cross. But yeah, so we have this, and then I guess after the bit on the bus, we kind of go into our battle state where we have a like a trio basically, right? So we have Melody, Leela, Lila, and Sally Hardesty.
Yeah,
versus Leatherface.
I like one thing that Sally says to Leela, which is when they're sort of insistent on running away or driving away. She says, "No, you have to face him because he'll haunt you forever." So obviously she's explaining that's obviously haunted her for her life. Her big regret is that she could never find him, even though he's just knocking about 20 minutes down the road. So
I think Sally, that you might have had more luck getting over it over the 50 years that followed if you'd moved slightly further away.
Yeah, get yourself out of there. That's what you should have done.
Because surely, if you've been involved in an event which has been captured by the news as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, don't stay living in Texas. Every time you see a sign that says "Welcome to Texas," it all comes flooding back.
Oh, bloody
move to the place that's like the opposite of Texas. Reykjavik, I don't know, like somewhere that is not like Texas in the least.
I wonder where you're gonna go with that. So yeah, obviously we get the bit where Sally goes up to Leatherface and says, "I demand you remember me and my friends and everyone you murdered, you sick bastard." And he obviously just goes like, "Who?"
He goes, "Shan."
He goes, "A shan."
Yeah, Shan.
You can't blame me.
Yeah. Let me just check. What are you doing, Leatherface? Oh, I'm just looking a look in my little book here for people that are the boss of me. Sally, no, not on there, I'm afraid.
Not on
Um,
there. And in the back, it's got number of fucks I give, and
yeah,
it's a blank page.
yeah, he's got his apron on. Obviously, he's going through all the pockets. What are you looking for in there? Just looking for some fucks to give about you and your friends that I met.
It's been 50
Wow.
years as well, and he still hasn't left one in there. So pretty much immediately fucks up Sally. Sally? Sally.
It just chainsaws her right in the Gulliver.
Chainsaws her right in the Gulliver, but she's like seems to survive for a while so that she can like shoot him quite a few times.
Yeah.
And then he goes after Melody and Leela, who like drive a car into a building. Melody like ends up trapped. She's like, just get out of here, run away. Leela like runs away, and I think when Leatherface appears, doesn't Melody like apologize, like say, Leatherface, I'm really sorry about what happened to your mum/mother figure. We shouldn't have done it. I'm not sure exactly what happens. I think this is when Sally shoots him. I think he's about to do the evil.
Yeah, he's doing his chainsaw tricks, and then shoots him.
Yeah, she shoots him. He runs away. He's quite speedy he's quite light on his feet, right?
Yeah, when he's got a place to be, like when he's running, when Sally's got the shotgun when he gets to the first place, she's in the street. He's like, right, come on, you've got to be off with it now. And then he comes out of the alleyway and runs at them. He's like Neo.
It was terrifying, right? I was scared.
Dodging around those bullets.
This is what's kind of crazy, because obviously, like Michael Myers is resolute, but he's got a speed he sticks to. He's got a speed limit, the Michael Myers speed limit, which he might, does he teleport when you can't see him? Who knows? But Leatherface running at you, swinging around his chainsaw like a nutter. My God, it's scary.
Yeah, he's wiry. He'll serpentine. He's like dodging those bullets. Yeah, he's all over the shop. But yeah, that's how he gets the six guys. And then thankfully they have their final. I mean, you can see why they wanted this real estate, big open spaces, indoor pool in this place they've ended up in. Or is it like a grease pit from a garage? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know. I was confused by that. I was like, is it some sort of? I mean, it was
like some sort of Roman Greco baths that you found inside this abandoned Texas town.
50 years. Yeah, it's pretty horrible. And so here it says a pool of water, but who knows what it's used for? So they managed to. He like ambushes them, attacks them. But then Melody like does a finisher on him, like a fatality, which is like a chainsaw uppercut.
Yeah.
Chainsaw uppercuts him.
Chainsaw uppercuts him into the water.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not a fatality. Maybe that's the mistake they make and why he can come back for a final scare, because she didn't know the input for the fatality, so she just did an uppercut.
Yeah.
I know it's got a chainsaw with it, but it wasn't. She didn't knock him off the pit or turn him into a little baby.
I'm sure it was obvious, wasn't it, that he was going to be. I think a few seconds before that, there was a moment where he ended up underwater and he leapt out like a cat, which was pretty. A cat that's just fallen in the bath.
He's got his arms and legs on the sides. Doesn't go in. She uppercuts him in.
And this is a good shot, when Leatherface is lying in the pool and his hair and the Leatherface.
That's great. It looks great. Like, you can be light on this film because it's, like I say, I don't think the film takes itself as seriously as a lot of people have taken it with the messaging of it. I think when they wrote the line about "Do you think you'll be cancelled?" the writers are going, "Ha ha ha!" Line.
People are going to hate this. And love it.
People are going to equally parts love and hate this. I think they were having fun when they wrote it, and then they're probably not used to how angry people will have been on both sides of it.
It's not like what word am I thinking of? But something. It's not in bad taste, even though it is about a chainsaw man murdering dozens and dozens of people. It's not in bad taste. It's not like got sometimes you watch films like this and it's got like there's something about it like. You're watching it and you feel like this anger from someone who's written it, perhaps a different type of person, and maybe like a group or something.
Yeah,
it's not.
I think it's just poking fun at both sides of the argument, like quite.
And getting a reaction from both sides of the argument as well. And obviously in the final, the end of the film, essentially, this
biggest twist of all I found in this film: self-driving cars exist in this universe.
What's going on? What year is it? But also, this moment is obviously supposed to make people just go, "Oh my god, what the frick?" Because obviously he's not dead, old Leatherface, because you didn't see him get his. He didn't get chopped in half or have his head off.
Yeah, like with any of these horror icons, you have to like get them obliterated, like Rorschach in the spoilers for Watchmen in 3, 2.
Do it!
Do it! Yeah, unless they get literally vaporized.
That's what you need, Dr. Manhattan. Dr. Manhattan, are you busy? Can you get yourself down to Harlow, Texas? I mean, it ain't going to take him long.
Well, also, like, he would know you were going to phone him. So he would know you were going to phone him and could have already been there because he can be in multiple places at once.
He can.
He could have just turned up and gone exploded.
He could have distracted Leatherface with his blue glowing penis and then obliterated him.
Yeah,
so,
would have saved us all the bother. But then again, he has he has become tired of this world, hasn't he? So he's probably not paying attention to it.
That's true. Maybe
could have stopped all those Leatherfaces.
Leatherface is the same. They've got a little bit of something in common. They're both tired of this world.
It is 1979. I am indulging in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It is 2022. I am indulging in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It is 2019. I'm someone's cousin inexplicably, and I am indulging in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
It's 2065. Leatherface is still alive. I'm indulging in space. In space. Leatherface is only aged by 5 years. He is Yoda.
I mean, we talked about doing fatalities. Maybe that's what happened to him. Like maybe, obviously, he had his Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 1979. And then in 90s, when it reached its popularity, sort of 94 maybe, Mortal Kombat 2 came out. Someone had a fight with him similarly, and he got babalitied to reset in his age back to...
Babalitied.
He got babalitied in the 90s, meaning that then, of course, what would happen if he would been inexplicably turned into a baby? He would get put in an orphanage.
Oh, God.
And his chainsaw would have been put away until he was old enough. I've done it. I fixed the universe. They all work. It all fits.
I just love the word babality.
Love a babality.
So essentially, the end of this film is while Melody and Leela are getting in their car, self-driving car, to go home. Leela puts on Sally's like cowboy hat, doesn't she?
She like goes, this old woman who's literally dead on the floor over there. She goes, I will wear her hat, and then she puts into the self-driving car. Wherever millennials live, she literally goes, Times Square, New York City. And it goes, commencing driving in 3, 2, 1.
Leatherface in Times Square. Can you imagine that?
Leatherface takes Manhattan.
People just think he's like one of those guys in Times Square who goes around doing the robot and shit. They'll be like, there's a bloody chainsaw man here. Give him some money. He puts like go to Domino's Pizza on his chainsaw, and he can like spin it around, do some tricks like those sign throwers. I love it. So obviously the horrific moment is that just as the car sets off, Melody is dragged out of the car by Leatherface, who isn't dead, obviously. Leela sort of can't help because the self-driving car is like taking her away, so she jumps out of the.
Yeah, she's kind of just trapped, and she's able to lean out of the sunroof because the car's gone. Dramatic locking in, dramatic locking in progress. Cannot let anyone escape.
And the ultimate like troll / fuck you is that Leatherface just decapitates Melody with the chainsaw and like holds her head up like some sort of twisted Perseus with Medusa's head.
Yeah, and does a little dance, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, he does.
I imagine he then goes on to make a little love and get down tonight after the cameras have stopped rolling.
Yeah. What did he do with the head while he was doing the dance?
I don't know. Is it still in his hand, or does he place it down somewhere?
I don't know. Well, there we
Don't
go.
remember.
But
There you go.
that is the ending. There is a post-credit scene. Don't know if you stayed around for that.
Oh, I didn't. What happens in the post credits?
It is just Leatherface making his way back to the house where apparently the
I
original
did watch it. I just
massacre
forgot.
took place. Just him sort of trudging along on his way back to the house. No one's been there for 50 years, have they? I don't know. He's gonna have a load of housework to do, and the next thing is gonna be is him doing up the house. And there's gonna be a lovely montage of him painting.
Oh, grand designs.
Grand designs with Leatherface himself. Yeah, that's that. That's that one. Were we gonna rate it? What do you fancy rating this one?
Yeah, I'll give it a rating. You know what? Like, very polarized on the social medias. For some people, it was the best thing in the franchise for years. Other people, no, terrible. What have you done to my boy? As you said, people that say that, I don't think they've been watching what has been happening to their boy for the last decade or so. For me, totally fine. Will I be in a rush to watch it again? Possibly not. If it was on, would I turn it off? Also, probably not. Like,
Yeah.
It's fine. There's a fine entry into a slasher franchise. Yeah, totally acceptable as a movie. Maybe I'm damning it with faint praise there because there is nothing there that makes it essential for me, but it was totally good. So I will give it I don't know if I'm failing to go either way. It gets a passing grade, a C minus, maybe a C.
Yeah.
No, not a minus. C minus feels like you err into the side of it being bad. Straight C. It was fine.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna give it a decent rate. Well, I'm gonna go a bit higher than that just because I had a good time with it. I think if I was gonna watch it again, it would be like a film you watch with a group of people, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
A good. In terms of like slasher movies where there's not much substance but it's just loads of good brutal kills, do you know what? It's up there for me because I enjoyed it for what it was. I enjoyed all the kills. I didn't want all that much additional story. Maybe I'd overdone it because maybe in the last 12 months I'd seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 and 3. I watched Leatherface as well. So maybe like I had enough of that story that they kind of wanted to shoehorn in to everything.
You want all those characters in there. You want the reality that they're all in.
Yeah. Like, don't you want to know why Leatherface does what he does? Here's the prequel, and even that doesn't answer the questions. So I don't want anything else apart from Chainsaw Man on a rampage murdering people. So for me, it did enough. And I don't know, something about this world, this like abandoned town, I thought it was like pretty cool. I'll probably give it a B minus, but that might be one where when I come back and watch it again, I might be like, maybe not. But considering we've watched things like Halloween Kills, which was like infuriating for what it tried to do, and Scream, which Scream was all right, but it didn't like blow me away. But films that kind of really do rely on these.
The legacy and the background,
the background, the established characters, and all these things. I appreciated this film the fact that it didn't really do. I know, obviously, we had Sally, but she wasn't as big a role as could have. If it was all about her taking down Leatherface, it may have got boring pretty quick. But
I'd say this film's relationship to Halloween Kills is both its biggest benefit and its biggest problem, detractor for me as a viewer anyway, because I would say I look on it more favorably because unlike Halloween Kills, I didn't think it cynically was trying to waste my time while it spun its wheels for a movie because it should have been 2 movies instead of 3. So I'm not angry with it in that sense. At the same time, it suffers because it is so easy to draw the parallels between Laurie Strode and Sally in this film because unfortunately, both aesthetically in terms of style, in terms of what the character has done and the obsession that they have harbored, it's very similar and it's very easy to draw those comparisons. I think if you'd done something different with Sally, and rather than saying, oh, I've been preparing for this time because I knew he was going to come back and I was going to kill him, maybe even if it was so subtle to say, this person has been a nervous recluse for all these years, but has. Then again, that's exactly what happens with Laurie Strode. Who knows? Like they could have done something different. Maybe she'd gone away and done a Stephen King's It thing where she'd gone away but had left someone in that town and said, hey, if he ever comes back, then tell me, because I've sworn that I will do this. I swore an oath to my friends, and maybe leaned into the friends a little bit more rather than just it having quite a shallow parallel. But yeah, who knows?
Yeah. There we go. Well, I think we enjoyed it a lot more than some corners of the horror world did. But, you know, that's what makes this genre so enjoyable. Things like this come out and split the fandom. But it gets people talking, which is nice. And, again, good
what
for
else are you going to do?
Genre. What else are you going to do?
We all just agreed with each other in this world, Ben. It'd be, in many ways, lots of things would be better, but some things would be more boring, so we'll take it.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be nice. It'd probably be a nicer place to live, but at the same time...
If we all universally had similar opinions on Texas Chainsaw Massacre reboots. Yeah, it was good. It's all right.
It's lovely, that is, yeah. I love it. Okay.
It's nice to see people out making their art, yeah.
There we go. So, thanks for listening to this bonus-ode. Sorry it took so long to get this one out, but you know, we did it in the end. We're not always there. We're not always on time. That's a shanty, isn't it? Not always there when you call.
But I'm always on time.
And I gave you my all, and whatever the next lyric is. But basically,
baby be mine.
Basically, that's what we're trying to say. So, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, become a patron over at patreon.com/horror hangout. Thanks to Kovac Cowman for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Please consider giving us a rating or review, and head over to the Facebook group Horror Hangout Board of Advisors to have a chat with us more over there. That'd be nice. But yeah, thanks very much, Andy, for being a right horror dude.
Cheers, Ben. Good to finally get this one in the bag. And then on to the next one. That's a good thing about horror movies. Keep coming out.
They keep bloody coming out, don't they? God, someone
when
just
will we complete it?
Give us a rest. What percentage? We're going for the platinum trophy on horror movies, but we're nowhere near it.
Oh, we got a ways to go yet.
New DLC comes out every day. Right. Okay. See you later.
Until then, though, see you later. I better go and watch another one.
Yeah, you better. See ya.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.